In this lecture, we would like to discuss one of the most vital, important legal and political concept, that is liberty. So, liberty is a thing that we have to conquer afresh for ourselves every day, like love. The movement for liberty is really a movement for creating an atmosphere where the individual can his best self. So the writers differ in their interpretation of the meaning of liberty. It is an abstraction, a psychological feeling dependent on suitable objective conditions. Thus, while the Marxists would discover liberty under a dictatorship of the proletariat, the pluralists would discover liberty in the network of social associations, groups, and organizations, and the anarchists, they would discover liberty outside the state. So, to start with liberty, we may suppose to consist in the very absence of restraint. When the individual is free to do what he likes, he enjoys liberty. In this sense, liberty was enjoyed most by Alexander Selkirk in the desert island where he was monarch of all he served. But a little observation would make it clear that Selkirk's unlimited liberty was no liberty at all. In an uninhabited island where there is no scope for social relations, liberty cannot exist at all. The concept of liberty presupposes the existence of an organized society. So, the fact of society which explodes the myth of unrestrained liberty. As we are in the same boat, each one of us has to practice restraint, for in its absence the boat may capsize. Limitation of desires is the consequence of living together. As Professor Lasky in his Grammar of Politics expressed that my right to swing my arm and sweat the other fellow's nose begins. So liberty in such a contest can never consist in the complete absence of restraint, for in that case there will be not order but anarchy, as order and anarchy are contradictory, so liberty and restraint are complementary. So now we'll consider the very phrase reasonable restraint, which misleading though it is, implies to, as Professor Lasky express that the rules made should embody an experience I can follow, and in generally I can accept. In other words, liberty is consistent with prohibitions when these are built upon the wills of those whom they affect. So to sum up, liberty is less than absolute power to execute our will. So liberty follows from the above discussion that the enjoyment of liberty is facilitated by the imposition of reasonable restraints and the abolition of unreasonable ones. So, as Professor Eric Fromm, in his Fear from Freedom, expressed that freedom of man in the positive sense involves the realization of his individual self, and that is the expression of his intellectual, emotional, and sensuous potentialities. And as Professor Lasky objects, by liberty I mean the eager maintenance of that atmosphere in which men have the opportunity to be their best slaves. So, liberty therefore is a product of rights. And now we'll discuss the very classification of liberty. So, as Professor Ernest Walker in his work Principles of Social and Political Theory differentiate accordingly. So, the very distinction arises out of the need for recognizing those different capacities of the individual. So, he classified liberty into three different forms: personal or civil liberties, public or political liberties, and economic liberties. So, the first one, that is political liberty, the liberty of a man in the capacity of an individual person is his personal or civil liberty. An individual must have security of life, health, and reputation. He must enjoy freedom of speech and expression, and freedom of movement, and freedom of personal property. So, civil liberty, as according to Professor Ernest Barker, consists in three differently expressed articles: physical freedom from injury or threat to the life, health, and movement of the body; intellectual freedom for the expression of thought and belief; and the practical freedom for the play of will and the exercise of choice in the general field of contractual action and relations with other persons, are considered by Professor Walker as civil liberty. And as according to Barker, regarding political liberty, an individual enjoys public or political liberty in the capacity of a citizen. In other words, as a member of the state, the individual has the right to constitute and control the government. Universal adult surface is the means through which the citizens constitute the government. The right to vote is thus an expression of political liberty of the citizen. Similarly, the government is controlled by the citizens through meetings, processions, and discussions. When in this way an individual participates in forming and controlling the government he enjoys as a citizen his public or political liberty. And now we'll discuss about economic liberty. So, Karl Marx, the founder of communism, in his economic interpretation of history, expressed about the economic liberty, and as besides civil and political liberty, an individual enjoys economic liberty in the capacity of a worker as a gainfully employed person in some occupation or service. The individual has a right to enjoy some share in the determination of his wages and the conditions of his work. Thus is what is meant by his economic liberty, that as having especially under the impact of Marxism, it has been elevated to the first position among all the kinds of liberty, and all other kinds of liberty are supposed to be subordinate to economic liberty, as interpreted by Karl Marx in his economic interpretation of history. So now we'll discuss the intra-liberty conflict. So in inter-liberty conflict, again we discuss the views expressed by Sir Ernest Walker in his principles of social and political theory. So, as Barker remarks, three forms of liberty as discussed above, as civil liberty, political liberty, and economic liberty. And these three constitute the complex character of liberty. And as Professor Barker remarks, a quarrel may ensue between one form and another. Economic liberty, for instance, may fall out with political liberty. So, according to Barker, if liberty and law do not quarrel, liberty may quarrel with itself, even if we take it for granted that law is an aid to and not an enemy of liberty. The different forms of liberty may conflict with one another. For instance, an individual person enjoys civil liberty, one of the articles of which is freedom of speech and expression. If that individual publishes a political pamphlet severely criticizing some of the policies of the government, he may suffer the consequences of governmental interference. In other words, the parliamentary majority acting in the name of political liberty may take punitive measures against the writer in question on the ground that his pamphlet is calculated to excite disaffection against the government. Here, the civil liberty of the individual person comes into conflict with the political liberty of the parliamentary majority. Again, a conflict may arise between economic liberty and civil liberty or political liberty. By virtue of civil liberty, a factory owner may employ laborers on contract in his factory. This contractual action empowers him to dictate the terms of wages and conditions of work. The laborers, on the other hand, may launch a movement for the enjoyment of some share in the fixation of wages and hours of work. Here it involves a conflict between the civil liberty of the factory owner and the economic liberty of the laborers. This conflict may also take a different turn. It is quite possible that a parliamentary majority acting in the name of political liberty will impose certain restrictions which are detrimental to the enjoyment of economic liberty of the laborers. In such a case, a quarrel might ensue between political liberty and economic liberty. So, the intra-liberty disputes poses a serious problem, as according to Professor Ernest Walker, liberty is indeed a complex notion which at once unites men in its allegiance and divides them by its divisions. So it is the task of justice to conciliate and harmonize different forms of liberty. So in our next we'll discuss about the ideas of two concepts of liberty in our upcoming lecture.